not going after this. All they have to do is go after 3-4 telcos, power grids, just change the billing information. The consumer is told he owes 1,000 rupees, whereas the bill is actually 4,000 rupees. Game over. We have an internal civil problem. Nobody needs to do something from outside. They just come here and change the billing and we won't pay, and then you know how all the distribution companies are running on losses, right? And if the citizen doesn't pay anything, they won't even have payroll to run the state government. So, I mean, if someone from outside has to do this, that's a simple thing what they need to do, just go change billing information. So what I would say is, this is what I talked about a lot of Southeast Asian countries. Last 10 days I was on a mission to talk to the industries and the services in Singapore and Indonesia. Prioritize patch. Nobody in this world has that power. Ivanti has the power. So today you get a whole bunch of patches from all the other organizations, right? They just give you these patches. These are the 100 patches you have to fix, and you fix those based on dependencies, and you depend on what is going to break back for compatibility. But here, what they have is they're the last mile for patching, and now they have this fantastic data what Srinivas has been talking about based on what has an exposure to ransomware, what has a malware exposure. So you're prioritizing patch from a security perspective. So that is the most powerful thing that Ivanti can do. And when I talked about this in all these countries the last 10 days, they were so excited. They did not even comprehend that this is an option. And that is something very, very critical. This data we'll be sharing with you, so you can just consume this data later on. But that's the biggest thing, which I don't think any organization will be even able to talk about that prioritized patch.
Thanks, Rob. So I think we're now in Q&A. Okay, Carrie, do we want to start with those on the line or in the room? How do you want to start? Just a little online.
This is to Sri. So I am Samir Ranjan from Financial Express. So I just want to know, who are your close competitors in India? It's the first time we're a global company, right? So world is flat. So in India, we truly don't, definitely there are a few companies that play the global ecosystem. You have Zoho, that has pretty much an end-to-end. That's probably the closest, if we have to look at it from a global perspective, in India that's actually doing it. When you look at the world's perspective, there is no true competitor that does both security and service. So from a security side, we compete with Microsoft and VMware. And from a service side, we compete with BMC, ServiceNow, and Freshworks. Zoho, yes. So Zoho is the one that does both, right? But they're not in the leaders quadrant. If you look at, they're not in the global leaders. So they're a rising star, but they're not there yet. So that's really why we believe when Jeff talks about we're a perfect storm to build a platform of choice to the CIO. We do both. We do security and we do IT as well, service management. So that's truly how we believe we can actually lead the space.
Zoho claims a majority of its business is from US. What about you, your business?
So we're a global company, right? The good news is we're pretty much evenly split, right? So we have 50 to 60% of our business in the US and the rest comes from the rest of the world. So that way we truly have an advantage of a global.
How much India contributes?
India is a small amount and it's growing.
I still don't see any online questions. Do we have any other questions in the room?
So to answer that, right, if you look at the global split of security, India spends very less, the least in fact. So that tells you why India is growing.
Do you have any study on that, the per capita spending of
North America spends about 65%, 35% is rest of the world. So that should tell you where India will be in the rest 35%.
Have you done any survey on Indian companies, Indian governments, how much do they spend?
No, we don't.
And compared to the rest of the world?
But based on what knowledge we have when we go out, it's not much at all.
No virtual inbound questions. Are there any other questions in the room?
Can you also explain me, like, you support clients to go to cloud, right? And in what way, like, can you slightly elaborate on that?
No, definitely.
And then you support, give the security solution for all those.
No, definitely, right? So there are a couple of things when you look at digital transformation. I mean, digital transformation means a lot of things to a lot of people. Every business today is a digital company. I mean, think about your tea stall to a manufacturer, right?
You said like mom and pop store, like they are also your clients.
Yes. So when it's a mom and pop, we're talking about small businesses.
Yeah. So
right? Who have 10, 15.
You have some clients like that in India?
We have them globally.
Globally, not in India.
Not in India.
Okay.
So we have them globally.
And how do you serve them? Like what purpose they have? Like,
So patch management is a perfect example. They have computers, somebody needs to patch them. They have mobile devices, they need to be secured and managed. And so they want very simple ticketing systems to service their 50, 20, 30 employees, right? But at the same time, they're growing and they want to kind of have an MSSP, managed security service providers or managed service providers help them. They use our software to serve the small businesses.
I mean, look, if you look at the challenges that we address, they're not unique to enterprise customers. If you have a business of any size whatsoever, call it a floor of a $25 million company, you have digital assets to manage, you have access to manage, you have service management to take care of, you have patch to take care of, you have discovery of new devices on your network, and so on. So all of those same challenges exist for SMB, so small, medium business. In fact, if you look at where our sweet spot is, it's in the SMB, mid-market, and lower enterprise market.
how do you like split your revenue from both enterprise business and small and medium enterprises?
Well, the nice thing about enterprise businesses is a lot of dollars, right? A lot of dollars of revenue. So if we look at it by number of customers, SMB is a dominant percentage of our customer base. If you look at by dollars, it's a bigger proportion of enterprise.
I have a question. With this online question.
Sure.
Okay, so Ivanti has been seen from the perspective of the peers like ServiceNow, BMC, Cassian. Now you talk about cyber hygiene and the security aspect or this disparate workforces. First of all, what is the percentage of the business that you expect coming from security part and traditional IT services part? And second is that cybersecurity takes a different connotation with respect to Cassian when you talk about cyber hygiene. So how do you just distinguish between these two? I always take interest in your philosophy of cyber hygiene, the way you come up with.
It's a great question, right? So what is our revenue split? So we're pretty much 60% security, 40% service management, right? And when you look at it, we're definitely in a very high up in the leaders quadrant. So that's your first answer. What's the revenue split? And the second question you asked is, when you look at service management, from a ServiceNow, BMC, Atlassian, and Ivanti, the beauty is none of them have cyber hygiene solutions. If you look at Atlassian, they want to be the developer-centric solution, right? When you look at ServiceNow, they don't have a hygiene solution. BMC doesn't either. When you come to Ivanti, not only we have service management, our hygiene is when you find a problem, you got to fix it. We're the world's largest patch management system. And if you take a look at the security vendors, whether it's Qualys, SentinelOne, Broadcom, Intel, all of them use our patch to solve the hygiene. It's widely used across the globe. Hope that answers your question.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. I know we have a question in the room.
Hi, my question to Ram. So Ram, in your Securin, the survey that you conducted in India, from a cybersecurity maturity standpoint, which sector did you see was most lacking?
We looked at all the state government URLs and the URLs that are below that. So sector specific, if you ask me the data, it's not top of mind, but it is there in the report that we have.
Okay. Sri, I mean, in the 800 organizations that you survey globally, which sectors do you think are most targeted and which ones are most vulnerable?
So I mean, if you take a look at it, right, the public sector is always the most targeted because they have the data, they're the most critical things, right? Critical infrastructure. It's about 16 sectors, right? It's oil and natural gas, it's financial systems, it's healthcare, it's utilities. It's 16 sectors that have defined the United States and widely adopted across the globe. And the 16 sectors are heavily targeted. When you look at what is the most targeted, it's always the financial sector. I mean, there's a reason behind that, right? There's economic motives. The financial sector is the most targeted. Now we are starting to see healthcare being targeted quite a bit. We're starting to see oil and natural gas being targeted quite a bit as well. So if I have to just stick to the top three, it's financial services, it's healthcare, and we're starting to see oil and natural gas.
Okay, and I think we can take one more question before our next event starts at DevCon. Are there any other questions in the room or online?
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Ravi Kumar. I am from the Hindu newspaper. There is a question to Jeff. Jeff, you mentioned that out of your total head count of 3,000, about 800 are in India across various offices. Would it be possible to throw some light in terms of what is your immediate hiring plans for the next about 1 or 2 years? Where do you see this 800 number going up to as compared to whatever would be the global increase?
Yeah, great question. Look, we're continuing to invest in India. I can't peg a specific number you can expect a year or two from now, but what I can tell you is in a lot of our organization, we have an India first policy, right? It just makes sense given the center of gravity that we're building here. That could be engineering, product management, in some cases support. Some of our operations teams are coming here. Just the efficiency we're getting, again, with the talented people that we have here, it's making it easy choices on where to staff. So, of course, around the world, there's unique talents in certain pockets, and we'll continue to invest there as well. But I would tell you that you can expect that number of 800 to continue to go up.
Thank you very much.
All right, and I've heard that we have some outstanding questions. If we do, please feel free to send them to me. I will make sure that we get all of your questions answered. With that, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We really appreciate your time. I apologize again for the late start, but thank you for the lively discussion, and thank you to Ram, Sri, and Jeff for imparting all of your knowledge.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And thank all of you out there for spending time with us. Very much appreciated.